This is Omnisport Africa.
Welcome to No Punches Pulled. Myself, Colin Nathan, keeping you entertained for this episode. I've got a very special guest that I'm interviewing, a fighter who he came out of nowhere. You could say he came out of nowhere. The WBO credible, legitimate, super flyweight champion of the entire world, Phumele the Truth Cafu, or some people say Cafu, depending. Phumele, welcome to the studio, and it's great to have you in our studios.
Greetings to you too, Cole, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, so no secrets, you're my fighter, trainer, manager. Obviously, we shocked the world this year for 2024, beating esteemed four-division world champion Kosei Tanaka. But before we start talking about you and your career, I want to, because you were doing a promo earlier, and you did the take twice. And first you said Phumele the Truth Cafu, and then the second take you said Phumele the Truth Cafu. So which one is it and why?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure which one is it. Because the thing is, at home they used to call it Cafu. But the thing is, ever since primary school, I've been in school with coloureds. So whenever they pronounce my surname, they would say Cafu. So, and most of the people say Cafu. So I kind of like prepare Cafu because it's easier for everyone to pronounce it.
So it's Cafu, okay.
Yeah, for me it's Cafu. I don't know.
You know, I'll tell you straight up, when I speak to my white friends, my Lungu friends, I enjoy saying Phumele Cafu, and they all look at me, and I was like, I bet you can't say that. But when I'm with my black friends, they say it's Phumele Cafu. So I don't know, I'm not sure which one.
Anyone can pronounce it the way they want to pronounce it, because I remember they said there's no school for pronunciation, so just say how you want to say it. I'm cool with whatever, man.
Phumele, you got the WBO World Championship belt on your shoulder. But before we start talking about that moment this year where you captured the South African boxing imagination by winning a split decision, I want to go back and I want to talk about, because hopefully through this interview, I'm going to find out something about you that I don't know.
Yeah.
Where did this journey in boxing start for you? What was your first boxing memory and how old were you?
My first boxing memory, I think it was when I was about 3-4 years old. I'm not sure it was the first day or what, but I remember going with my dad to the gym. So I got there and saw this bag, so I started punching. So that's when I fell in love with the sport, because every time my dad used to go to the gym, sometimes I used to go with him just to get out of the house and stuff, because as a kid I wasn't allowed to go out and play on the streets. I was always in the yard or in the house. So for me it was kind of exciting to go outside and do something different. So I always went with him. Went there and did some back work and maybe some bit of a pad works, then fall asleep on the chair because I was still a kid at that time. So, yeah.
Let's talk about that. You from Duncan Village, East London, South Africa. You weren't allowed to play in the streets. Why?
In Duncan, in the streets is very rough. For me, I remember growing up, I won't lie, my role models used to be thugs because it's how everyone praised them. But as I grew older, I started to understand people don't really love them, they just fear them. So now what I thought is that now I don't want to be like them. For me, it was like I want to make money and I want to be loved by people. So I'm glad I never took that route, because lot of like young people, since we don't have any role models, our role models are thugs, because they are the people that we see, and we see how people like praise them and stuff. But as you get older, you begin to understand they don't really praise them, they just fear them.
You started boxing your first amateur fight. Do you remember your first amateur fight?
Yeah. Fortunate for me, I do. I was fighting a guy. It was in the rural areas. Can't remember his name though. I won that fight, and I remember I was fighting on. I think I was weighing about 19 kgs or 20. So, yeah, that's when I was boxing. I think I was around the age of 7 or 6.
And your first win, you were thinking like, this is it. Like this sport's for me. Besides, obviously going in when you were younger, hitting the bag, catching the mitts, and falling asleep there. Did you know at that point, even because, even at a young age, we all have dreams and aspirations. And when I found boxing, I mean, I got my first pair of gloves when I was 2, and I was taken to boxing gym at the age of 7, and I fell in love with it. At what point did you think, this is for me?
I won't lie. At that age, I was just enjoying the sport, enjoying knowing how to fight, because I was also a soccer player and I was good at it. So I used to play soccer at school. Then I was a boxer when I was at home. So I was just enjoying as I was growing up. The decision that I made that I'm gonna be a boxer. I'm gonna be a full-time boxer. It was when I was in grade 9, and I was 16 years old back then, because I just failed my grade 9. So after that, because growing up, people ask me what do I want to be when I grow up, I was like, I want to be a doctor. But in that environment, since I was in Tangan village, for me, I had friends. So when I got home, there was no time for me to study. And now I'm old, so my mom can't say, stay in the house, you can't do this, you can't do this. So every time I got back home, I'd drop my bags, go to my friends and have fun. So I failed my grade 9, and she told me, and I wanted to quit school. I was like, nah, I'm not going back to school. It's either I change school, I'm not going back to school, or I will go to a college. And my dad was cool with the fact that I want to go to a college, but she wasn't cool with the fact that I want to go to a college. So for me, it was like, nah. So I didn't care about school back then. So I just didn't care about life, actually, because since I'm where I'm from, I know it doesn't matter if we make it or not. We just end up here. So in my second year doing grade 9, I went back to school, and fortunate for me, there were too many guys that failed, so it wasn't as embarrassing as I thought it would be. Because for me, it was like, I used to be clever in primary. I won't lie, I used to be clever in primary. So for me, from being a person that used to be clever and going and failing a grade, that was so embarrassing. So I was like, nah. I went back to school, and I weighed my options. Okay, this is me, right? So if I failed grade 9, they told me in order to be a doctor, I got to do pure maths and physics. So I failed grade 9, and I was just being introduced to pure maths. So if I fail grade 9, which means I won't make it to grade 12 if I do pure maths and physics, which means I'll never be a doctor. So I thought, okay, what other career choices do I have? I thought of being a policeman, I think, and then I tried to check how much they earn monthly, and I think they earn about 15K a month. So to me, it was like, I risk my life for about 15K a month. So I was like, nah. Then started checking out Floyd, and I was like, hey, Floyd is living the life, right? So looked at Floyd and was like, hey, he's really living. So I tried to understand boxing more now. How's Floyd earning so much money? I figured Floyd is a world champion. He's beating guys that are known. So to me, from there on, I was like, nah, I want to be a boxer. I want to take boxing seriously. So that's when I made the choice that I want to be a boxer full time.
It's not an easy journey being a boxer, particularly being a professional full-time boxer. It's hard to make money, especially in the early starts of your career. But before we get into you crossing over from being an amateur to a professional, we've discussed when you first joined No Doubt Management that you also felt a bit disheartened by the amateur system. You had a lot of losses on your record, which you disputed. And I think it's important for the viewers and the listeners to know that the amateur system, I suppose like all sports, is flawed, where you do get some horrible, rotten decisions. How did that make you feel? Because when an amateur fighter comes to me and they want to cross over, for example, if they've got 10 losses, I'll always look at the amateur fighter and say, well, of the 10 losses, you were robbed 5 times. And they always look at me and think, well, how do you know that? Because that's just the nature of what happens in the amateur system. How did that make you feel? Because we'll talk about Stelle, the kid you knocked out in 26 seconds to win the vacant super flyweight championship. But he beat you, and you were telling me a story where you didn't feel that he beat you. So going back to that system of being an amateur, how did it mentally get you when you were good, but you felt that the system was holding you back?
It was kind of sad knowing that whenever you're going to that, it usually happens in the trials. When you go into the trials and you're fighting at a certain division, before you even fight, there are certain guys that are already in the team. Whether you win or lose against them, they're already in the team. So going up against them is either you knock them out or you're going to lose. I won't take the fact away from them that they were good. They were good guys, but we were also good at the time because you knew it's kind of awesome when as a kid you're fighting a derby because there was a derby between Tangan Village and Tanzania. So whenever they make a team for At the time, they used to make a team for Buffalo City. But before the team for Buffalo City used to be Mtazana versus Duncan Village, and then they used to make a team for the Eastern Cape. Then it would be Buffalo City versus Amatole. But Amatole I think Amatole used to go their own route, and then Buffalo City decided to go their own route. So going to Mtansani, most of the Mtansani boys, they were favorites. So when you're fighting a guy from there, obviously you're gonna lose. You just gotta make sure you put in a good show. So to me, that was like very sad, because for me, I've never been into the SA Games. I've only been an Eastern Cape champion twice. But now I'm a world champion, so it doesn't matter what they did to me or what. But I think I was only robbed about once. I was only robbed once, the Stella fight, because I remember I once fought Nonchinga and he won fair and square. I once fought Kanye Sosiko, also won fair and square. So I won't lie, I wasn't like I wasn't the victim of the system more often, but it kind of happened to me, and I felt what most niggas used to feel back then, because I wasn't the only one who was robbed a fight. Too many guys used to be robbed fights, and you look at the fight and be like, "Ish, yeah, it is what it is."
And the rivalry is still strong between Duncan Village and Dunsany.
Why
is it like Liverpool versus what would it be? Manchester United?
No, it's like Man City versus Manchester United, or Pirates versus Kaizer Chiefs.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, our producers looking at me like I know nothing about soccer, so that's why I kind of try to throw that in, try and be smart, but obviously it backfired.
It's like Kaizer Chiefs versus Pirates. I think since we're all from East London, so and we're all good, so it's kind of like exciting when you put those fighters together. You know that it's gonna be fireworks. I think that's why it will always be Dunsany versus Duncan Village.
Just when you go to the Orient and there's a Duncan Village fighter and Dunsany fighter, the hall's divided. It's quite funny to see, like, the fans screaming and shouting at the fighter, telling him or her what to do. So you had your amateur career.
Yeah.
You were never defined by your amateur career. You decided to cross over.
Yeah. I decided to cross over when I was about 18 years old. I was doing my grade 11 then, so my mom didn't really agree with that. She said I must pass my grade 12 first and then go to... and then I could do whatever I want to do, which is become a professional boxer. Even my amateur record is not that bad, because I have about 117 fights, 7 losses, and 11 draws. So as an amateur, I knew I was good, but it was kind of hard for me not being an SA champion at that age, knowing that you see niggas your age become SA champion, going to the SA, enjoying the moment, telling you how it is. So, but I knew as soon as I turned professional, I knew I'm going to make a name for myself, and I will become a SA champion. That was one thing I was sure of. And after I turned professional and I got my first international title, I was like, if I could get an international title, which means I couldn't become a world champion. From the word go, I knew that the goal was to become a world champion. I used to think it's beyond my reach. But I used to pray and believe in myself that I could make it to where I want to be.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that belief, and did you ever think you were being able to cross over the line? Now, just talking about your amateur career, like, do you have any regrets from it, or did you enjoy your amateur career? I mean, obviously, you would have loved to win an SA title, but being in the national team, potentially an Olympic berth, was that ever on your radar?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to be in the SA team. I would dream of going out of the country as an amateur, like traveling the world and making a name for myself in the amateur stage, so that could be easier for me when I turn professional. But unfortunate for me, I couldn't get there, but there's no regrets. I really enjoy the moment, knowing that also the guys that were in the team, they knew when they're fighting me, it's going to be a tough fight. So I think I earned my respect, I earned my stripes. So I'm kind of like grateful for everything that happened back then.
Phumelele turns pro. Your motive for turning pro, was it money? You obviously wanted to better yourself. Why?
Because I knew that if I go work or maybe like go to varsity, like for me it was like, where I'm from, it's either you end up on the streets or you survive. For me, I didn't want to survive. I used to tell my niggas that you can't be like a man, because I became a man at the age of 16. So I used to tell my niggas that you can't be a man and ask your mom for money for bread. for me, that wasn't it. So I needed to make sure I make a way out, and I knew that I take care of myself. So that was the goal. The goal was to first take care of myself, and then I could take care of my family. So the goal was, at that age, I wanted to just make sure I do take care of myself instead of doing some illegal stuff. And so I needed to make sure I make a clean living. So I turned pro, and I was like, okay. The first year I turned pro, everything went well for me. So I was like, yeah, I made the right decision of becoming a boxer.
When you cross over, when you're at the 4-round level, it's very difficult to sustain yourself, very difficult to make money. I always tell the athletes when they're starting out, the first 3-4 years of your career, it really is a gamble. You're not going to make a lot of money. You need to get investors or sponsors. How was the early start for you in your career?
I won't lie, it was really amazing for me. The thing is, for me, I knew that I will never go to bed without a meal and stuff. So everything was good. So I knew that the money that I make it for me. I don't make it to make sure that my family is straight or what, because everything that I needed, I had at home. So for me, it was kind of like amazing, because I think I got about 4 fights that year. So for me, it was for my first professional fight, I think I earned about 4K. And then with the diversion, I think I end up with 2.5, right? Yeah, 2.5. To me, that was a lot of money, knowing that I've earned it, nobody gave it to me. So I was like, yeah, I'm proud of myself. And I knew that I had a fight coming up, I think in a month's time, because I fought in March. No, I fought in April, and then I was supposed to fight in June also. So I knew it, like, okay. And the coach told me, every time you win, your money is gonna increase. So that was the motive, that, okay, I've earned 2.5 now. I've earned it. It's on me. So I gotta make sure I make a lot of money now. I've gotta make sure I make enough for me to live. So it was kind of great knowing that I get to buy my own clothes. I get to buy my own junk food. So it was kind of awesome for me.
Junk food, yeah. Let's not talk about that right now, Phumele, because anyone who follows the champ knows that he loves his food. It's not the drinking and the partying, it's the food.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your amateur career in terms of who trained you and your first was it your dad, or who was your first boxing coach?
My first boxing coach was Utatu Mzamo Apitla, the coach that I turned pro with, made my pro debut with. But as he was training me, I think there was some time, since I was the only senior in the gym, because there were small guys there. So I decided to move to Tulane, Mhlubulwane. And then I was trained by him for about 2 years. So and then I took a break from boxing, because I was like, so I needed to. I won't say I needed to focus on anything. It was just that I wanted to enjoy the street life, because you know where I'm from Duncan. So I kind of like went away from boxing. Then I was happy with the fact that I go to school, come back and chill with my friends. So after, like, I think when I was in grade 11, went back to boxing again. I was like, nah, I said I wanted to do this, so let me not switch the focus and stuff. So went back, and after I finished my grade 12, went back to Tatuma Pitlam and I told him I want to turn professional. And it was cool with the fact that I came back to him and I still want to turn professional. So,
and how many fights did you have with him as a pro?
I had 6 fights with him. 6 fights, won 4 and drew 2.
And those 2 draws, one was a former stablemate of yours, Randili Dneke. Yeah, who's not a bad fighter himself, former South African champion, international champion as well. Why did you leave him?
The thing is, I won't lie, Kaba promotion was good to me. But at some stage, as you like drew into the sports, you get to understand certain things. So there were certain things that I tried to reason with him, but to him, it was either his way or the highway. So to me, if you won't understand the pressure that I have or the things that I bring up to you just to make sure like we're in the same page, it's kind of like you disputing everything that I bring up to you. So at the beginning, we had that back and forth thing, because he would say, I always like to complain. And sometimes, even though sometimes I wasn't cool with certain facts, I would just keep quiet and let just be, because I don't want to seem like I'm the only one that's complaining, because I was the only one that was complaining back then. I don't know now, but back then I was the only one that was complaining.
Would you call it complaining or standing up for yourself?
Not complaining, standing up for myself. because to him it was a complaint, but for me it was standing up for myself. And I remember at the beginning of this year, there were things that I felt like I needed to do, and I did try to reason with them. So I was like, nah, let's just do this, let's just do that. Okay. So you don't give a shit about what I gotta say. It's only like what you think, and it's gotta be done the way you think it's gotta be done. So, okay, and I was also in the pressure of not fighting. To me, that got to my head, and I was talking with Shu back then, so I thought, nah, let me just leave. And I wanted to leave last year. I wanted to leave last year for real, but he said, nah, I must still leave, and we talked things through, and I went, okay, since like for real, so that I want to leave, so maybe the next time we get into like a meeting and stuff, or when we get to chat, maybe you'll try to understand me. But
what's your relationship like now with your first trainer?
It's a good, because when I'm in East London, I do go to my train there in his gym. Tatu Mapitlamzam is one of the best trainers, I believe. Our relationship is very good. Even like when I was doing something, they came there and they even like organized a welcome for me. So it's very good. It's very good, man. I'm kind of grateful to him.
So in terms of your professional career, you really kind of shot to prominence when you got this draw with Jackson Chalke for the South African Flyweight Championship. Slightly unheralded, started reading about you in the newspaper, and then you put on a terrific performance, less than 10 fights going in. No one gave you hope in hell. You were supposed to get sparked out, and you ended up fighting to a hair wire decision on a draw with Jackson. At that point, did you know that, man, I've arrived, or did you know before?
I've always believed in myself. I wanted to fight with Jackson. That's the reason why I left my coach, because it was like, nah, I'm not ready for Jackson. I've got to like get experience first, and then we could go for Jackson. I had 6 fights back then. I was fighting Jackson, and I think Jackson had about 20-something fights. So he was like, nah, I'm not ready for Jackson, not yet. To me, it was like, I saw Jackson fighting Twanambi first. So I was like, okay. Twanambi fought very well. I think he won the earlier rounds, but it started to fade on the later rounds. So I noticed if I could outbox Jackson and maintain it for the full 12 rounds, which means I could win the fight. So for me, I was like, nah, I'm ready. I think I can beat him. I believe in myself. I know I could beat him. So, and I told my coach that I want to fight Jackson, and I'm sure I could beat him. So to him, it was like he was protecting me, not that he was scared of Jackson and stuff. He wanted me to make sure that I'm ready for the fight, but for me, I was really ready. So that's why I left him. So I left him and went to join the Klaba Academy. And as soon as I joined the Klaba, I joined them in January. And then in March, I got the fight with Jackson. Then I performed.
And then you moved up from 112, which is flyweight, to 115, which is super flyweight. What was your reasoning for moving up?
I won't lie, the promoter suggested the decision to move up. I wasn't quite happy with it because I wanted the rematch with Jackson, but he noticed things that I didn't notice. For me, I could make any weight because I know how to make weight. I'm a professional. I've never missed weight in my whole entire career. So for me, it was like, he was like, we should move up. You could have knocked Jackson out because we were catching him with clean punches. So which means this is not your weight division. You've been fighting for this weight for some time, because I remember I turned flyweight 2019. Yeah, 2019 I was a flyweight, and then I went to, because of COVID, I was inactive for 2 years. So he said, nah, it's time for you to move up. Maybe you'll be better as a super flyweight. So to me, it was like, I don't want to move up. I still want to fight Jackson before I move up. He said, nah, no worries, you'll get Jackson, just move up. So I thought, okay, let me move up. Then I moved up, and I saw there's a difference between how I drop weight and my sting. So I thought, I'm happy that I'm a super flyer now.
Because you knocked out a few Filipinos along the way, and a couple of African fighters, and then, and then you got the rematch. So I watched the first fight with you and Jackson, incredibly close, incredibly tight. And the second fight, even though it was a split decision, I thought you clearly won. You totally dominated that fight. I thought it was a 12-rounder, and I think I had it 8-4. I couldn't believe it was a split decision, for you. The situation of that fight, the weight difference and moving up and being able to adapt, was that you coming into your own, knowing that you could adapt and that you were evolving as a fighter?
Yeah, for sure. One thing about me, I take boxing seriously. So Whenever I'm preparing for a fight, I intend to make sure I become better than my previous fight. So Jackson, I remember like Jackson was the first guy to call me out when he was about to fight Snetemba Kotana. He was like, after this, I'm coming for Cafu. I want to take that WBA Intercontinental title. So I was like, why is he's still a flyweight? I don't know why he was calling me out. So I texted my manager and said, Jackson is calling me out. So is it there possible that the fight might happen? Said, let me check with the promoter. He checked with the promoter, say, yeah, there's a possible that the fight might happen if he wins against Kotana. So you all guys might fight. Oh, and I was like, okay. And I waited for Jackson. He fought against Kotana. He dominated the fight. He won. And I was listening to him. I thought after the fight, he's going to call me out on national TV, but he didn't. So what I did, when I was preparing, I think I was preparing for Namalambo, a guy from Namibia. I was preparing for that fight. So I went into Facebook, saw his post about the fight, and I commented there. I thought she was going to call me after you won. He was like, nah, you Bamo promoters will never let me fight you because they know I'll beat you. We went back and forth, and I told him, no worries, December, like, just make sure you train. I'm just going to finish this fight and then take a rest and then train for December. So we're going to get it. He was like, nah, I know you're just bluffing. Your promoters will never make that fight. So I won against Namalambo, knocked him out in round 2. Then went back to Facebook again and told him the fight is on, make sure you train. I'm just going to take a rest, then I will deal with you. He thought I was bluffing. Then there was a press here in Joburg, got to meet for the first time, and I told him the fight is on, so what do you have to say about this? He said, nah, he was making jokes about all of this, and we were going back and forth, telling me that he's ready, he's going to knock me out this time around. And I told him, you should stand on your words, make sure you're ready. Then I focused more on my power, make sure I'm well conditioned for the fight. That was the first time that I took swimming classes, and I took swimming seriously. So it started to evolve my training ways. So when we got to the fight, I thought he was going to stand and fight with me, but he didn't. He started to run all over the show. He was all over the ring. And I think it's round 4, and I called him. I said, come stand and fight, because you said you're going to fight, stand and fight. Then he was shaking. He said, like, no, because he felt my punches. So I was like, yeah, now you feel it. And then I started pushing him backwards.
With those wins in the super flyweight division, you started moving up the rankings. And then there was a little bit of frustration. We read that in the press that there was like a bit of lack of direction. And then it was announced that you were fighting for the vacant super flyweight South African championship against Delhi. An opponent who beat you, you claimed that he didn't as an amateur. Yeah. And literally the fight ended before it even started. You caught him with one shot on a counter left hook, and he was out cold. Tell us about that experience winning the vacant South African championship.
I won't lie. At that stage, that's where my mindset was, I want to be a world champion. It was totally like, I want to be a world champion. I don't want to be a SA champion anymore. I want to be a world champion. So they said I must fight for SA title. I was like, why? They said you need to become an SA champion because you've never been an SA champion. You was stripped your title, never won against Jackson. That was a goal. I was like, I don't need to be a SA champion if I can become a world champion. So if I fall short of becoming a world champion, then you guys can bring me up with an SA title. So that was my motive to the fact that I'll be fighting for a SA title. But they said, nah, you gotta fight for a SA title. I was cool. Okay, I was like, okay, no worries. But for me, that was like a stepping stone. Not that I really wanted the SA title, but it was like, okay, since they said I must fight, so I must make sure that I win the fight. And I told Stella, like, our mindset is very different, because Stella was like, nah, if he holds the SA title, he's done. Like, he's reached his goal, he's reached his dream. I was like, ish, nigga, with the same age, but I want to be a world champion, and this is the first time you're in a big fight, because he's never been to big fights. So he was like, nah, so I knew how to get to his head. I was getting to his head, like, I was really getting into his head, and he started like shouting, and I knew I was in his head back then. So what I told him also, like, don't run, just make sure you come and fight. And I think one thing that I'm sure that failed still while his corner, because his corner told them, I think they said to him, he must come to me guns blazing so I could earn his respect. One thing I knew still, as I only watched one fight of his, I was like, there's no way this guy could be picked. I've never watched him live. I watched his fight on on YouTube. I think he was fighting Gcina Makhoba, and he lost that fight. I was like, Ish. I'm not saying Gcina Makhoba is a bad fighter, but you look at Gcina Makhoba, you look at me. So I was like, hey, So I watched that fight, and I knew how careless Taylor was, the mistakes that he made. Well, like, there's no way this guy is gonna beat me. And I told him, and I was telling everyone that Taylor is gonna make mistakes, and he's gonna pay. So unfortunate for him, he made a mistake. He came out running to me, so he made a mistake, and I countered, and the fight ended. For me, I didn't want the fight to end very early. I still wanted to make sure that he sees that I'm better than him. Everyone was going to see that I'm better than him. So I wanted maybe to end the fight later on, maybe round 7, round 6. But I wanted to prove to him that I'm better, I'm not in his level. But I didn't want to say straight to him that I'm not in his level. I wanted to show him that I'm not in his level. But fortunate for me, I did in 26 seconds.
Yeah, and it took you one shot. And we'll talk about the sacrifice. Phumele Cafu grew up in Duncan Village, started his career there, was now considered to be a world-class fighter in the rankings. Frustration was setting in. The move to No Doubt Management, to my company in Johannesburg, it's a big sacrifice. You've got a little daughter back home. You love your mother. I mean, it's well documented. The decision for you to move to Gauteng to further your career. Talk us through that.
That is the decision that I wanted to make before I even made my pro debut. But unfortunately, we lost touch. But moving to you, it was like really hard because my family wasn't happy with the fact that I'm moving to Joburg. They don't know where I'm going to stay. Then they don't know you. But my uncle really believed in you, and he told me that I'm making the right decision by moving to you. And he also convinced my mom that I'll be in safe hands here, so I should move. I won't lie, for me it wasn't easy. The fact that I'm leaving home, for me also, I've never based in Joburg. I've heard stories about Joburg. Now that I'm moving to Joburg, will I keep up? But I had that mentality that I'm from the hood. So if you're from the hood, I could survive anywhere. So for me, it was like I want to make this step for myself, for my choice, that to make sure that my daughter is straight. She won't have to struggle. She won't, whatever she needs, I'll be able to provide. So I needed to make that. I needed to make the decision that I made. And before I even told you about the decision, it was already implemented in my head. I've already made it. So yeah.
So you left your former promoter, signed up with No Doubt Management, Larry Weinstein's Boxing 5. Box Camp came involved, Brawl Gear. I mean, it really did make you feel at ease as much. We try to make you feel as much as home as possible. Talk to us about the environment of training at the Hotbox Gym with other world-class athletes, and it's obviously very competitive. How was that process and the transition coming from East London, coming to Gauteng and adapting into the gym environment?
I won't lie, it was very I got a warm welcome from my teammates. Not what I expected, because I remember when I first joined Tabak Academy, there was too many stars there. So when I joined there was a bit of tensity in certain people. So I wasn't at ease, but I knew why I was there. So when I got here, everyone was friendly. Everyone some guys didn't even know me. So they was oh, you see you. So they started to. Then the next day, oh man, damn, you good, dude. You see, we started being friends, and I felt at home. I won't lie. And also at Box Camp, Sinigoso was there, and he welcomed me. He's hey, Cafu, you here, bro? Yeah, bro. So he showed love, man. Everyone was showing love. Uncle Reyes, Uncle Tiny. So I really felt at home. I remember when I got back home, because I think July I went back home. My mom asked, "So how's the stay there? If you ain't gotta go back, my child, you should just stay home. There's no need for you to go back there if you're not happy and you're not well taken care of." I was no, everything is there. She didn't have to even send me money or anything, because we got food. I've got everything that I needed. So to me, that was I was really grateful for everyone taking care of me, making sure that I'm good. It was really a great experience.
I remember when we were communicating before, and you said, "No, I'm ready to make the move." Yeah. And I remember phoning Boxing 5's Larry Weinstein, and I said, "Look, Phumele Cafu, depending which way they want to call you, wants to join. He's world class, and I think he can become champion of the world." And he said to me, "Colin, let's bring him up." And you settled in, started training. The ultimate goal was a world title shot or an eliminator. And I said to you, "Just give me a few months." there was a press release about you joining No Doubt Management in Boxing 5, which was sent to Japan. And then next thing, I was on the phone to Mr. Honda, one of the most famous promoters and greatest promoters boxing history from Tekken Promotions. And he said to me, "Is Cafu with you?" And I said, "Yes, he's with me." He goes, "With no one else?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Give me some time." And the IBF championship was on the radar, but Kosei Tanaka was also kind of the back of our minds. And then I really tried to push for that. And then my phone rang the one day. It was very, very late at night, and it was Mr. Honda. And he said to me, would we be considering taking Kosei Tanaka for title shots? And normally how I operate is I normally ask the fighter's permission first. But on this occasion, instinctively on my gut, I said yes. I remember it was close to midnight. I sent Larry a text saying, got a title shot for Cafu, speak to you in the morning. And then I still sent you a text saying, are you awake? And you said, yes, Pops, I am. And I phoned you and I said to you, are you sitting or standing? And you said to me, no, I'm standing. Let me just sit for a second. I said, I got you the title shot. At that point, what did you think and feel?
I was very, very, very happy. Because it's everything that I've ever dreamed for. It's what I came here for in Joburg. So when you told me that I'll be getting a title shot, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to keep calm. Then I dropped the call. Then what I did 50 push-ups. Like, nah, I'm ready. Just did 50 push-ups. Like, nah, I'm ready. I'm ready for anything. Because I remember I used to watch all the champions in my division. There was a time, I think they were posted, the 4 of them, in the on Instagram, and then I shared. I was like, this is the guys I want to fight. So yeah, so it didn't matter who I fight. I just wanted to become a world champion. So fortunate for me, I fought Tanaka, and I remember you telling me, guess what, son? I know how to beat him. I was like, okay, no, so we good. So I thought, nah, I'll make sure I fully commit and make sure I'm good for everything.
Yeah, I was very confident within my own ability to get the best out of you, and that we could beat Tanaka. I thought Tanaka was, in fact, going to the fight now. Even now, when I look at it, Tanaka is probably one of the best fighters I've ever gone up against. I just think you were better on the night. I think you were just that one step ahead. Talk to us about the fight itself, because it was an absolute humdinger. It's one of those fights that took your breath away from round 1 all the way through to the final seconds of round 12. For me, personally, from a South African's perspective, going outside of the borders, your first fight experience, fighting overseas, definitely the South African Fight of the Year with a fighter fighting outside of the country. It was just amazing to be part of that experience. And obviously the game plan that we worked on the left hook, although you dropped him in the 5th round with a clean right hand over the top. Talk to us about that experience, because really you were good going into that fight, and we didn't know how good you really, truly were. And for me, that was, for the world, besides the Jackson fight, that was your coming out party for you to become world champion. Explain to us the feeling of going in that deep when a lot of people doubted you.
One thing about me, since I've never been in a Manchester, so I think kind of like too many people wrote me off in my career. So I'm used to people not believing in me. I'm the only one that has always believed in me. So going into that fight, I knew I could beat Tanaka, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought the only way to beat Tanaka was to knock him out. So, as I was saying throughout the press, that I'm gonna knock Tanaka out in round 5 or round 6. So because we knew that in the later rounds it's gonna be open for the counters, so I'm gonna catch him clean. So going to that fight, the first rounds, I was doing good. And so I caught him and fell and got up back up again. I tried to knock him out, but I couldn't. Then on round 6 also, I was like, okay, this is also the round that I was going to knock him in, but I couldn't catch him clean in that round. So round 7, things started to switch.
Yeah, we'll talk about that moment, Jack. Go on.
So round 7, things started to switch, and I was in there. I felt like I was in there. I kind of like was losing the fight, so I was in there. But then you woke me up, and then I went back into the fight. So Yeah, man, I think I've also shocked myself, really shocked myself because I watched that fight and be like, ish, I'm really an elite fighter because I could see the way I pick my punches, my speed, my everything. So I've kind of like, I think I've evolved compared to the boxer that I was. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the 7th round, which obviously went viral. Me kind of yelling at you in the corner saying, you know, because we shared a lot of time together in radio interviews where the other dream was to build your mother or buy your mother a house. And I felt that you were switching off in the 7th round. And you admit that mentally you had a bit of a collapse. And I said to you at the end of the 7th round, all that stuff about buying your mother a house, you letting him take it away from you, and you showing him too much respect. Your mom's crucial for you getting to this point in your career and life. What did those words mean to you, and how did it inspire you?
To me, like, it really meant a lot because after those words, to me, it was like, ish, now he's not just taking my dream away, he's also taking my mom's dream away. Because the reason that I was fading in round 7, so I feel like my mental was kind of weak because I started to question my fitness now that I can't knock him out because I had that mentality I'm going to knock him out. So I started to question my fitness. If the guy got up from that punch, which means like we're going full 12 rounds, and now he's starting to switch up. When he's switching up, if I also like try to maintain the same pace, would I be able to maintain the same pace for full 12 rounds? So to me, it was like I knew I was preparing for 12 rounds, but I also in the back of my mind, I knew that I could knock him out. So I was just going there for a knockout. So now everything has changed now. I knew that I can't knock him out. It started coming, and as I'm busy thinking about that, he kept on coming and kept on banging me. So I'm still there, like being confused. I'm like, if I lose the fight, am I going to lose this fight? Because he's really switching up, and I think it's gonna go in this pace up until round 12. So what if I can't go for full 12 rounds? And I think I remember like after that also. After you told me what you told me, it was like, nah, ain't no way. I'd rather like die in the ring because he's not only taking my dream away. I gotta make sure I do everything. And then also, I think, I'm not sure it was round 9 or round 10. I could feel my calf on the left leg was really like starting to, I'm not sure what was happening there, but I could feel my leg was giving up on me. So to me, it was like, ish, now it's time. I think if my leg really gave up on me, I'm going to take a knee because I felt like I've done enough. I fought, I've done everything. So if my leg gave up on me, which means it's time for me to take a knee and I'll just lose the fight. Then when I got back to the corner, you told me, hey, what are you doing? Because it's kind of like you let him back in, you winning the fight. I was like, I'm winning the fight. Nah, I'd rather lose my both legs. I'd rather like die in there, or my legs should give up on me. There's no way I'm taking a knee. So I went back there and I won the fight. Remember when I got to a dressing room, it started again. Yeah, and then it caught me for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
The moment when Jimmy Lynn Jr., because it was a tight fight, and the knockdown was the decider in that 5th round, when Jimmy Lynn Jr. said there was that slight pause, and the new, I mean, we were all elated, but with that feeling that you went through, just describe it for us.
I can't even describe it. I was over the moon, knowing that it's everything that you've ever wanted, and they finally like gave it to you. Not that they gave it to you, you've earned it. You've made sure that you've earned it. So to me, that's the highlight of my life. I don't think I'll ever have that moment ever in my entire life. It's a great feeling, man. That's why I'm saying I can't even describe it, because I've never felt that way ever in my life. That was the first time I was like genuinely like proud, happy, excited, everything. There was mixed emotion. I don't know, man. It's kind of great. And I was actually like holding my tears because I felt like I was going to cry because, I'm done it. So I was kind of like also holding my tears because I can't try because I've still got to talk and stuff. So I was really grateful. Like, I was really happy.
The odds were 8-1 going into the defending champion, backyard, 4-division world champion, credible, legitimate, world-class operator. I mean, it takes something special to win in that environment, specifically in the guy's hometown on a split decision. Phumele the Truth Cafu, pleasure having you on the show. Big moment for me as well, interviewing a fighter who I've just seen a dream being fulfilled. I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. 2025 is going to be a great year for you. In closing, do you have anything to say?
First, I'd like to thank you. Perhaps you really done a good job, and thank you for believing in me and make sure I reach my goals. And also thank to Uncle Larry, the Boxing Fight Promotion. Thanks to Uncle Riaz. Thanks to everyone who made sure that I am where I am. You guys really since you're used to doing this, you all might take it for granted, but for me it's a huge thing. I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful, and also thanks to my sponsor Network X. Also thanks to Power 12 to making sure that I'm good for the fight, and thanks to my fans, man, my fans, family, everyone, and especially my mom. So kind of grateful for all of you all.
Thanks for tuning in. It's been Colin Nathan. No punches pulled, and we'll see you again soon.
This is Omnisport Africa.